Who's the greatest musician of all time, would you say? We were just off camera talking about Eddie Van Halen. He
Oh,
unfortunately passed away.
who's the greatest musician of all time?
Yeah.
Jonathan Richman.
Who's that?
It's a weird question, so I'm going to give you a weird answer. It's not because
Thank you.
okay. Jonathan Richman, the reason I'm picking on him is that he had a quote. He was the front man of a group called the Modern Lovers. And his quote was something like, "We have to be prepared to play music when our instruments are broken, the electricity's out, and it's raining," something like that. And I thought that that quote was very interesting because what it said was, you have to be able to strip this thing down farther and farther back to get to something that is intrinsically musical. So we were having a conversation just now about virtuosity. We're talking about Eddie Van Halen and his recent passing. And that affected me emotionally. I don't know whether it affected you. I was never a Van Halen, the group fan, but I revered Eddie Van Halen's capacity for innovation. Just, I saw him like, Rodney Mullen, the skateboarder. I had dreamed of having the two of them on the same podcast just to talk about what it's like to totally discontinuously innovate.
And you posted a video of Spanish Fly, I think, and saying like, I didn't know the guitar could make those kinds of sounds. Like, what is this voodoo magic?
What is it? Well, this is the thing, right? The arpeggios that he did on a single string are so fast, and the attacks from the hammer-ons, when they go at light speed as he did, particularly, and the reason I chose that is that I wanted to strip out the electronics, because part of the claim will be is that he's a rock musician, and a lot of the innovations had to do with things peculiar to sort of the electrified setup. You know, his use of the whammy bar, for example, or the Frankenstrat that he built from different pieces, right? All of those aspects, in my opinion, are just dwarfed by his innovation and his musicianship. And that's why I chose Spanish Fly, because everyone, of course, will go to something like Eruption or Running with the Devil, which is the first things that they heard that let them know that there was a new force erupting out of Southern California that was Eddie Van Halen, right? I mean, I'm in love with the story of it.
You're often so poetic about music. Like, it clearly touches your soul on many levels. What is that? Is it deeper than just rocking out with the in your convertible Corvette 69? I imagine Eric Weinstein just driving down the California highways, blasting some kind of music. Is it just like being able to be carefree for moments of time, or is there something more fundamental that connects to like the theory of everything in physics and life and all of that?
How often do you have the chance, for example, to hear mathematics performed as you do in Bach, right? Like something with that kind of precision and elegance that can't really be grasped, where, to go back to Leonard Cohen's famous line, the baffled king composing, right?
Such a good song.
It's such a good song, but it's also like individual verses of that song are insanely important. The baffled king is how we often make music. We don't really understand what did we just do that broke that person's heart sitting on the couch, right? And so it's a very strange thing that you should be able to have. Think of it like you're a computer. You've got this weird open music port, port 37.8,
Mm-hmm.
like it's not even supposed to be there. And suddenly somebody starts playing a guitar and they're making you feel things. Or, like in particular instruments like the violin, it's so difficult. It's so unforgiving. And when it gives up its secrets, it just, it wraps its fingers around your heart and won't let go. Sometimes I talk about head, heart, and loins. When something can grab your head, heart, and your loins at the same moment and integrate them, there are very few opportunities to live like that. And if you think about Eddie Van Halen, as far as your head, the musical innovations and the fact that he was drawing directly from the classical canon, really speaks to the idea that maybe rock is what somebody like Jimi Hendrix saw it as being, an infinitely extensible medium. In terms of heart, I always notice the smile on his face. It's painful to look at an Eddie Van Halen solo now. Like sometimes you'll see the cigarette dripping off the side of his mouth and you're like, that's going to fucking kill you. And I'm not even worried about it for you. I'm worried about it for me. You're going to rob. I don't even need to hear you play another note. I just like knowing that you're in the world, that there is somebody that everyone looks to, that nobody, I've never heard a guitarist say, I don't know. I think he was okay. Like, I've never, just
Yeah,
never heard it. You can
this is
hate
true.
him, but you still think he was a genius. There are very few people like that in the world. And then Loins, those leaps, that guy was
Uh,
incredibly good looking, and skin tight pants, super athleticism.
yeah.
He completely owned the sexuality, the male sexuality of the stage, both being the completely dominant, sort of mythical alpha male. I hate that expression, but there you are. But also this kind of little boy with this mischievous smirk, and the sense that it all came together. How could you not eat that up?
You could just imagine the millions of like young teenage boys who are just like playing air guitar in their room, just that, yeah, basically dreaming of being that kind of god, the most perfect example of what a human being can be. Yeah,
Yeah, and
it's fascinating to think.
it is, and then as in many of the cases with these bands, you get these multiple talents in the same outfit. And I think that the original
Together.
configuration with David Lee Roth, I mean, David Lee Roth is such a hot mess at all times.
I would love you to
Yeah.
talk to David Lee Roth. Like if they that dance would be just gorgeous.
I don't know.
Can you handle it? Can you ride that?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not, because I think he's very, I get the feeling that he's very smart and very dysregulated. And I don't know that I could.
Like bring him down to earth for a moment.
Well, I can also get pretty dysregulated, you know.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I don't know whether it could be magic. It could be a shit show. I don't know what you thought of his appearance on Rogan. That was an interesting one.
I loved it, but Joe does this sometimes. Sometimes he just sits back and listens, and he just lets like the music play, which works really well. I think you have a chance to kind of jump into the chaos.
I care too.
And then you'll just start, and the places you'll go, you may not even talk about music for like hours. It might just go to this, because I think lives in Japan. Like there's a weird,
he's been in like an EMT after he was a rock star. He chose to become like, I don't know, it like,
there's depth to that man that hasn't been explored by him either. So that